I ran against a guy who was a doctor, you know, that I think gargled pork paste, ivermectin, and we had, true story, 22, was running to get the litter boxes out of the vestment thing. That stuff sticks when we're not out there teaching it. So I said we own this, and I'm gonna come back to this theme a little bit with you, owning that we damn sure should have won an election because we didn't. We're in a hell of a pickle right now. And the teacher in me knows that if you got a big chunk of your class not getting a lesson, maybe you ought to differentiate your approach to it. Maybe you ought to develop That's not a condemnation. I got asked after this last election, you know, like, it's like a gotcha question. Would you have done anything different? Like, you know, they want you to like narc out somebody or something like that. I'm like, well, we would have won. I'd have done that differently. And since we didn't win, I'm going to extrapolate from that. There's some things that could have gone differently. And I think we're in a real risk if the shiny objects and things that are going on, we lose sight of the real core of what they're doing. And for you in this room, I would argue that you're right about this. The core of public education, which is the great American contribution to the world, I think. It's the great American equalizer, if you would. It's the great American dream comes from that you can get this. With a recognition, we all don't start at the same starting line. That is a ridiculous proposition, and that somehow acknowledging that is giving a hit. I was on this morning and did the Sunday talk shows, which I know better of my view. You gotta go do it. They didn't have done this. And they're like, had a clip of me in Texas where somebody asked about, they were asking about, you know, they had texts on DEI, and I said, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and they were talking about immigration. I said, well, we can't give up on those things. And so Fox News was like, oh, he's doubling down on DEI, and that's what got beat. When your definition of DEI is racist and misogynistic, that's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a recognition that even a state like Minnesota with high achievements, our gap between black and white students is absolutely abysmal and should be an absolute stain on the soul of all of us. And that's why we're working to make sure that, guess what you need to do? Put a few more resources into those areas to make it different.